Hello and welcome to episode 1 of the Catching Up podcast with Ananya and Katrina, two college friends who are doing their best to keep catching up with each other after college while pursuing their goals and dreams. Both of us recently graduated college, and today we're going to be discussing that transition after college graduation. Because this is our first episode, we are going to introduce each other and then talk about how we met.
And that is Katrina Lee from Dallas, Texas, one of my most amazing friends, but also one of the smartest and most motivated person I've met at the university. She's kind, caring, super talented, and also a woman with many hobbies.
And this is Ananya Singhvi from Rajasthan, India. Not only is she incredibly smart, but she's also super hardworking, and she is one of the most ambitious, driven, and also creative people I know. So we both went to the University of Arizona, and that is where we met. We met about 2 years ago, our junior year of college, in between our economics classes, because we were both economics majors.
Actually, we met 5 years ago, and I was in India, and Katrina was one of the first people I texted. I found her on Facebook, and I'm like, hey, you're doing econ too, and I'm going to be coming to the States. And just like, we started catching up right there.
Yeah, and then we actually met
And then we actually
after our
met
econ
2 years
classes.
ago.
We
Yeah,
didn't actually meet until like a couple years after we were chatting.
it was a
But
full circle.
we also didn't realize how long did it take us to realize that we knew each other from that?
A year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. We were playing We Are Strangers, and then suddenly I'm like, no, you were this person I texted years ago. And I'm like, yeah, we've met
Yeah.
before. I've seen you
Yeah.
before.
So how did we click?
If I remember it correctly, it was one of the futures and options market class, and it was just so hard, and everyone was like, we don't care about it. And I think that was the moment we met, and we were like, can we just go to the first seat and like just lock in and do really well and like just get this in our heads or something? And then I think that was the moment we clicked. We just wanted to do well, and that's when I realized she's ambitious too and she cares. Yeah.
Yeah, we were both just tryhards.
Yeah. And then also you were like super protective too, because we were taking 2 classes together. And then I remember both of the classes we had some weird stuff going on, and you were super protective, and we were 1 month in, and I was like, I like her because she's girls go.
Girls girl, yeah.
Yeah.
So before we get into our discussion for today, Ananya is going to start us off with a quote from Good Morning, Good Night by Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Good morning. You've got stuff in your head that no one else has got. And you've got stuff in your head that you think you bear alone, but I promise you share with so many. Only way to know the difference is to spill it out on paper, into a mic, to a shrink, onto a canvas. Let's go.
So like I said earlier, both of us just graduated from college. Well, we graduated in like May, but it feels like we just did. And something that has been on our minds, and we're guessing probably a lot of other people's minds, is this transition from graduating to whatever we do next. It feels like everyone kind of does different things and everyone goes to different places. And I feel like we didn't really hear a lot about that transition until we were going through it ourselves. So we wanted to talk about it. So Ananya, I'll start off with a question for you. What did you think you were going to do after college? Like, is what you're doing right now what you expected? And could you like share a little bit about what you're doing right now?
When I started college, I was always this person who knew what my next step's gonna be or what direction I'm headed. But turns out the end of college, I was the complete opposite of it. I had no idea where I was going, and I just didn't know what I wanted to do. Like, I had a degree in econ and marketing, but I was just like not super sure what are the kinds of job I wanted to pursue. And first job is just so important because it's going to shape your career. So I honestly had no idea. My sister was visiting for graduation, and I went on this big trip to just clear my mind off everything. And then I just met people who were like, Ananya, what are you doing? And then just helped me get my first job. So it kind of everything fell in its place, and I just left it loose ended. And that's how I am where I am today. But it's such a beautiful place, and I couldn't have expected more. I work in finance now, and it's a lot of new jingle for me every day, and that helps me wake up every day to learn more, to do more. And I like the finance world.
So how did you, like, what was the process of deciding or making that decision to what you were going to do?
That is a great question. I applied for internships my junior year, and it was just such a hard process, and I was so demotivated. As I was graduating, people applied to hundreds and thousands of jobs. I didn't even apply to a single one. I was just so stuck in my life because I had no idea what I wanted to do. And then the trip just helped me so much. I remember I was at the top of the falls at Yosemite, and I saw on Instagram that water teaches you how to flow. And just like sitting at the top of the fall, I was asking the water, like, help me move ahead, like, just give me some direction. Like, I want to flow too. I'm feeling so stuck. And then the same day, I got a call from the HR. I met someone and they really liked me and they helped me connect. And I got a call from HR from the company I'm working at right now. And he was like, if I ask you if you're completely free, there are no ifs and buts, what's one thing you would want to do? And I was like, I will do marketing for F1. And he just laughed and laughed. And he was like, okay, Nanya, this is going to be a different chapter and it's more like private equity. And I'm like, I don't know anything about it. But then he was like, I see how motivated you are and how much willing you are to learn. And he was like, you should definitely get the experience. And if you don't like it, it's going to be a story, but definitely get an experience. And I just connected with him, talked more and more. And I kind of liked the role because it was challenging me because I had no idea about private equity and I love challenges. And so I took the role, I took the position. I was 10 days away from going to India. My flight was booked. But here I am. How did you decide what you're going to do after college, and how were you able to get that, or are you at a different place right now?
So, for some context, I actually graduated my bachelor's a year early, so in 3 years. And then in my fourth year, I did a master's. But when I was graduating, or like thinking about graduating with my bachelor's, I actually thought that I would like go abroad and do a master's abroad. And I ended up not doing that. Just like the way things worked out, I ended up doing a master's program at the same school, same, like literally same professors, like a lot of the same, like had all the same friends and everything. And then once I joined the master's, I kind of just assumed that I would get a job after the master's. I ended up getting one in Phoenix, which if you knew me in college, you probably knew that I would just like shit on Phoenix all the time and did never want to go there and just ended up here. So in terms of like what I thought I was going to do, I did end up getting a job, which is what I thought, but I did not think I would stay in Arizona.
Yeah, are you working in the same field you got your degrees in, or is it like completely different?
Yes and no. I think we were both economics majors, like in our undergrad, and with economics, it's really hard because like it's interesting and you can like apply it to like things conceptually, but if you want to like actually work in economics, you kind of need a PhD. And neither of us have one of those, or I think are planning on getting one of those. And so I ended up getting my master's in business analytics, kind of specifically to have something just like more like hands-on and practical than like something more theoretical like economics. And so I am working in business analytics. I am a business intelligence analyst in like finance and insurance, and I'm using that degree. I will occasionally use like concepts from economics, but I wouldn't say I really use economics in my job at all.
Yeah,
What about you? Are you like, or
I feel like economics is like everywhere and nowhere, and I realized that after my third year, and then I had to add marketing, and I'm like, I need something more solid too, because with econ you need a PhD, and if you don't have it, it's like
mhm.
all the doors are open and not open at the same time, and that's why the directionlessness, if that's a word.
Yeah.
um, yeah, but I definitely see econ everywhere. Even like at my workplace, like the concepts are always there, human ideas.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
yeah, like the theories and everything. Um, it's like a mindset almost. Like you,
Yeah.
it's just like a world, like a way to see the world. Um, but I think also our economics degree was kind of unusual because it was in a business school, and usually economics degrees are in like social sciences or something like that.
STEM.
And I think we got really lucky because we got a lot of the like business education as well. And so like you got a marketing degree too, and we got like all the professional development and stuff like that. And I think that just made the transition a lot easier to um, like finance or insurance and stuff like that.
I completely agree, and I think Eller is one of the best colleges at the University of Arizona. Um, Debate me
It
on
is the
this.
best at the U of
Debate
A.
me on this. Yeah.
At U of A, it is the best.
It is the best, and so that was definitely helpful, and all the connections and networking was good. Um, okay, so tell us about what's the difference between your work self and your college self? Like, what changed and what did not?
So like my work self at work or my work self just like in general right now.
Just like the whole transition, like now you're a working professional and before you were a college student, and just like two lives, how are they separate and kind of same in this in ways, if at all?
I would say they're definitely very different. Um, I think a big reason they're different is just the fact that like the community that you have in college just like completely basically just like disappears, and you are either like on your own or you like have a couple people that you know in your area. But I think that like changed a lot of what my life looks like, just because I was like so social in college, and just like you just like kind of know everybody. And now I feel like I'm really focusing much more on like myself and like building the life that I want to build. And I think it's definitely like I think I'm definitely like ready for that period in my life, but it is definitely a big adjustment. And for you, is it like, do you feel the same way?
It's just the social aspect of it. Like, I think I'm still super social,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I'm still super social. For me, the biggest part was like I just hated using my phone. Like I just don't like talking to people on call or like texting a lot and stuff. And then since I moved here, all of my friends suddenly I'm long distancing with everyone. So I'm like trying to catch up with everyone, and then it's a lot of calling. There's like definitely a time during my day where I make sure I'm like catching up with someone. And then the biggest transition also is the like life now is so much more structured. Before I would like go to bed at 4 or like get up and go to class at 8 or not go to class, but like now I wake up at 4:30, like that's set. And then I'm going to bed at like 8:39, and no one can move it. And it's just like so set. And then also just realizing the difference between like quality time with yourself and then socializing and then your work life. So there's definitely so much more structure. But before it was just like all mixed up. I'm still a social person, a very social person, but I feel like there's a little structure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I feel like in college, like when you're in school, you kind of have all of those like mixed in. Like your friends in class are your friends outside of class, and you like all do the same things. Like it's just like all
Yeah.
one thing
Yeah.
versus like once you like get to kind of the like working stage in life, a lot of it is separate. And like you don't in college, like we didn't have to really catch up
Yeah.
with friends all the time because most of our friends were around
Just
us.
there.
And now like I probably spend hours a week just like calling people trying to keep up. And I feel like also keeping up with community like that is just like very different because I feel like a lot of us are just like catching up on the detail, like the basic life updates, but we don't actually get a lot of that like quality time and conversation that we used to get with each other.
Yeah, and also just being so far from each other, like the definition of quality time has changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we used to just like when we had class together, we would just like talk about random stuff like
Yeah.
after class. Or I would like we used to go to we used to go to this restaurant in Tucson, Geronimo.
Geronimo, good one.
Honestly, we probably like kept them in business. We were there so much. But like I could just like text you and be like, "Oh, hey, like do you want to go get lunch?" And
And I
now
was always down for Geronimo's, like always down. It was Katrina's
yeah.
find. Yeah.
No, it was not. It was your find.
Was it?
You're the one who took me there the first time.
Oh.
Oh my god.
Wait, and I had pizza there. I would never again.
Yeah.
Like it was super good, but like, oh my god,
It was really
the
big.
the falafel sandwiches so good.
If you're still in Tucson, if you're living in Tucson, you need to
Please
go
go to
try it if you
Toronto.
haven't tried it. The hero sandwich, and you got like, was it like a vegetarian breakfast pizza or something?
Yeah, that was good too.
But like, they also have like a meat pizza that was really good. Anyways,
yeah. Okay, we're hungry.
yeah. But yeah, now I can't like just call you and be like, hey, what are you doing? Like, should we go get lunch?
Yeah.
I mean, I could, but you'd have to like fly out.
But turns out every time like we're calling each other, we're eating, like we're having our dinner or lunch. So it
Yeah, I feel like we're so busy that like our
Yeah.
only time to like catch up is literally when we're eating.
yeah,
I
and
feel
then
like literally everybody I call just like all they see me do is eat or like make coffee or something.
no, like
Yeah.
I've seen you make like good coffees and ice creams and like what are you eating? Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's always
Yeah.
something good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm with my frozen food.
Yeah, you were making like dumplings the other day. But Ananya actually does make very good Indian food. She's made me a lot. That's something I miss about like being in the same place is that like we used to like trade food because like you would make like was it like Italy or
Yes.
something?
Oh my god, you got it
And
right.
then I think I made you noodles a couple
Pasta,
times.
yeah.
And yeah.
Oh my god, she always used to make such good pasta. She's a good cook too. Good chefs in here.
Yeah. Anyways, so what is your like biggest challenge been after graduating?
Finding a job.
Okay, what is your biggest challenge in the transition after graduate? After you found a job, what has
Okay,
been?
I think the biggest transition was just like moving to a new place. Been in Tucson for 4 years and everything was just so homely. And then there were friends and food and everything was familiar. And then suddenly there was this new place, moving to a new house, having new roommates. It was really hard, but also I realized that everyone was like, you have a lot of energy and you're too young. And that was a common thing that I was like getting from people because everyone at work are supposed to be really structured and they have their lives and everyone just likes to go home after work and like be with their families. And I definitely did not come in with the same energy, so it took me a little while to get cultured. Yeah, and like
Yeah.
also people at work, like at college, everyone's your age. Like people at work are everyone's in a different stage of life or they're like different age groups. And so also like just finding friends, and I realized that you don't have to be friends with just people of your age. Like everyone can be your friend, but it would just like it needed so much more work and understanding and just like patience.
Yeah, I feel like especially making friends in a new place. Like whenever we were in college, we kind of like did everything together, and so you automatically had quality time or just like time to get to know people, especially over like 4 years. And then you move to a new place, and it's just like so hard to also because we're so busy, it's hard to just find the time to like get to know new people and like actually build those relationships.
What were some other challenges you faced, Katrina?
I think I know we've talked about community a lot. I think the biggest one is community for sure, just because it just like changes so fast right after you graduate. Um, and then it's just like a really big difference, at least like for where I am in my life and like where I live. I think the other one is time because like when I was in college, I was really excited to like have a job and not be like up at 11 p.m. doing homework and try to turn stuff in. Um, but now it's like you spend 8 hours a day just like mentally like giving everything. And so the rest of the day is really, you have to like, that's why like we've been getting up so early because we've been trying to like manage our like time and our energy. Like, I feel like once you get home, the temptation is to just like sit there and like scroll for hours. And like, I'm still trying to figure out like how to make the most out of my time. Um, yeah, I think that's been definitely one of the bigger challenges. I think I'm like getting used to it, but it's a big difference.
I completely agree. I feel really drained after work, so whatever I have to do for myself, it needs to be before work.
Yeah, yeah. I've been doing my best to get up before 5, but
I kind of like
sometimes,
text her sometimes just to see if she's up or not.
yeah, we gotta start like keeping each other. I'll call you at like 4:30 and wake you up.
But it's
We
been
can be each
going
other's
well.
alarm system.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I think
yeah,
it's been pretty well.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Like I remember in college wanting to be like a 5 a.m. girly, right? And then I just never could do it because I never really like had to. Like I think especially the last few years, my earliest classes, most of them were like 9, 10, 11. So like there is no real reason that you have to get up at 5 a.m. unless you're like trying to go run or something in Arizona. But like when you have a job
Arizona.
and like yeah, yeah, it's so hot. You have to get out really early. Um, but like once you get a job, like and you basically are not a functional human being after 5 p.m. like you have to get up early.
Yeah, I definitely a lot of benefits. We can do a whole podcast on waking up early.
Oh yeah, we should do a whole
Oh
yeah.
my God, yeah, it feels so great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always
Yeah. What
had
is
8 a.m.s though.
yeah,
Yeah, woke up at
sucks for
7
you.
or something.
But yeah, you would also like in college you would have class for like maybe like a few hours at a time, but then you would never like I don't know anybody who would class like just class for like 8 hours straight.
Yeah,
And so
for
like
sure.
the you would at least have like 15-minute breaks between classes where you'd at least get
And
like a
then you're
15-minute
also
mental
with your
break and
friend.
like yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And also like we were not paying as much attention in class as we pay attention at work. Like I definitely spent a lot of classes doing other things, homework, whatever, like yeah.
I was
But
always
work you got to be like on.
I was always logged in during classes.
You were. You were unique.
That's what my
You
name is.
answered you answered all the questions. You like literally carried every single
I,
class we
I
had
just I
because
just
you
loved
answered all
it.
the questions and like yeah. No, I just let you do your thing and
And
I
it's
did my own thing.
always sitting beside me. It's like, okay.
But yeah, it's definitely the time commitment of a job and like the focus and energy are definitely an adjustment. Um, I do want to end on a more positive note, and so can you tell me like what is the most exciting thing that is happening right now?
Ooh, so I'm like just being friends with people of different age groups because workplace is always a mixed place. And I've been getting so many different hobbies because everyone's just like an expert in something. And yeah, I've just learned crocheting and I've been crocheting so much more. And then
Do
some
you have a project you can show us?
can
Can you show your
okay,
go get it?
I'll get it. Okay. 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 I didn't get it.
Okay,
It
show
was
me
always
your
with me.
crocheting project.
It is still going on.
Okay.
I was supposed to wear this top today, but
Yeah, you didn't finish it.
yeah, it's
Crocheting
still,
takes so much time.
yeah, it is definitely a work in progress. But definitely getting so many new hobbies, and then some of my teammates really like golfing and bowling and a lot of sports. Just started watching baseball. So it's been
Oh.
really fun. Definitely learning new things, and that is the most exciting part for me. What about you?
Yeah. So I think the most exciting part for me right now is just the fact that like now I like have a job and I can like fully support myself. Like I like have adult money and I have some of the like time and resources that I can actually just like use to like build the life that I like want to build. And I feel like in college, you're just like kind of always waiting to like graduate and you're trying to figure out what comes after that. But now I'm like, I can like stay here for like a while and just like focus on building something. And so I'm like really excited for that.
Yeah, definitely more stable.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I think we can end on a fun little like rapid fire. I know you have a couple questions lined up, so I'll let you take it away.
Okay. So here's your first rapid fire question. What's your comfort food after a heavy day at work?
I think the most common one for me is just like mac and cheese, like homemade mac and cheese.
Oh my
You can
God.
make it in like 15
Okay.
minutes. Yeah. What about you?
Mac and cheese.
We're just like children. And we have like adult money that we can spend on the things that we want to.
Yeah, also anything from Trader Joe's, the frozen food, that does not take a lot
Oh,
of cooking.
I don't go to Trader Joe's because that's like that's too much temptation.
Oh my God, I go to Trader Joe's all the time. Favorite place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'll like live vicariously. There you go. I can't let myself make that a habit. Like,
Also, I don't know, it's like frozen and processed, so it's better you don't eat it.
yeah,
Let me
probably.
let me eat it.
Okay, okay,
Okay, here's your second rapid fire question. What's your go-to
okay.
workwear?
Um, Usually like a pair of trousers or pants or whatever. Um, and then either like some kind of like plain business casual top. Our dress code is business casual most days. So, and then I have these like slip-on loafers that
Ooh,
are super comfy. So I wear those like every day.
that's so
What
cool.
about you? What's your usual
Um,
outfit?
it's starting to get chilly, so I wear my sweatshirts a lot. And it's business casual for me too, but I wear my sweatshirts a lot, and then I wear a shirt above it or something. And then
Oh, that's cute.
I wear my Converse, the heel heeled
Oh, your tall
Converse. It's like
ones?
yeah, the tall
Yeah.
ones. And
Yeah.
everyone just
Fashion
absolutely loves
icon.
it. But it just that makes me a fashion icon, just my Converse. So that's
Yeah.
my prefer. And then yeah, I've been trying to dress a lot and like dress up fancy when I go to work because
Yeah.
it keeps me
Yeah.
excited all the
It makes you feel different.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I feel
Okay.
like that's another thing from like college is like literally the college dress code is like tank top, baggy t-shirt, sweatshirt, and
Sweatpants.
like sweatpants.
Yeah. I would
Like I
like
do miss that, but also like when I was in college, I was like, oh, I wish we could like wear other stuff. But
no, I definitely miss it. Like I used to, the way I used to sleep, I used to just like wake up and go to college exactly the same way.
yeah.
Yeah, can't do that with work. Just learned the hard way.
Yeah, sadly.
Yeah.
Okay, question 3.
Okay, so here's your third question. What's the tiny little thing you miss about college that you never felt you would ever miss?
Actually, I think the gym. Like, I went to the gym, like especially the last couple years, I went like most days of the week, and like the gym that we had at U of A was like so nice. It was so big. There was like literally all the equipment you could ask for. And now like there's no good gyms around me that aren't like super expensive or super packed all the time. And I just like use my apartment gym or like my work gym, and neither of them like have a ton of equipment, and so I miss the gym. And I miss like seeing like friends all the time who are either like working at the gym or like at the gym with you. So I miss the gym. What about you? What's like a little thing that you didn't realize you'd miss?
I'm gonna say it, studying for the tests and then acing it, the test.
Ananya.
I'm gonna say it because, yeah, I miss.
I feel like you might have like a little Stockholm syndrome with that because I don't remember you enjoying studying.
No, I loved studying.
I remember you just like freaking out about every single test.
That's because it's like I'm competitive, but I loved studying, and then I loved it when I like aced it. It's like a challenge I miss.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this has been a fun first episode. I know we want to do more of these, but this has been the Catching Up podcast with Ananya and Katrina. Thank you for catching up with us, and we're hoping to catch up with you next week. But before you go, Ananya is going to close us out with another quote from Good Morning, Good Night by Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Good night. Rest your gifts, rest your burdens, rest your secrets, rest your dreams, rest your unrequited loves, rest the loves that sustain you. Tomorrow you can harvest them all again, on paper, into a mic, to a shrink, onto a canvas. For now, rest.
Well, bye, y'all.
Bye, all.